saved his life. He was determined to break the engagement arranged by both our families and leave me. I loved him with all my heart and refused to let go. But all I got in return was him standing outside the delivery room, refusing to sign the blood transfusion consent form, which led to my death from blood loss. When I opened my eyes again, Logan was kneeling at my feet, begging me to let him go. I let out a mocking laugh. "You don't have to do this. I never even liked you. Our engagement is off." His eyes widened in disbelief. In my past life, I died bleeding out in the delivery room. I could still faintly hear Logan's cold voice echoing in my ears. "It's just having a baby. Why would she need an epidural? What woman doesn't act dramatic these days? So she's bleeding. So what? It's not like she'll die. Money doesn't grow on trees. Do you know how expensive a transfusion is? Just tough it out. It'll pass." A cold laugh escaped my lips as my vision started to blur. Logan and I had grown up together. Our parents had been close friends for many years. Before he met Hannah, he was gentle and attentive to me, cared for me deeply. We had talked about our life after marriage and even blushed as we secretly discussed names for our future children. But in the end, I was just too foolish. "It hurts," I whispered. When I opened my eyes, the pain in my chest and body had vanished. Warm sunlight streamed in through the window, casting a golden glow on the lush green plants. Suddenly, I heard my father's angry voice booming from downstairs. "What did you just say?" I rushed downstairs and froze in place. The scene before me was exactly the day Logan came to break off our engagement. At that time, I hadn't married him yet. When he saw me, his eyes lit up for a moment but quickly dropped with guilt. I walked slowly and gracefully to the couch and sat down. Then came a loud thud. I looked up to see Logan already on his knees. Our parents sat on either side, shocked and speechless. "Emily, I'm sorry," he said. "I can't fulfill our engagement." Just like in my past life, he knelt in front of me with that same expression, tears flowing, putting on a heartfelt performance. Back then, I had been heartbroken, helped him up, and tearfully said, "No, I don't want this, Logan. I love you. Don't you love me too?" "I'm sorry. I do love you, but I also owe her. I can't betray her," he had said. I loved Logan as if my life depended on it. Despite both families trying to talk him out of it, my family couldn't stop him from breaking off the engagement. This time, if he wanted to kneel, I would let him. Even if he used his knees to repay me, it wouldn't make up even 1/10,000th of what he owed me. I watched coldly without making a move. I could see the humiliation in his eyes as he forced his proud upper body to bow just a bit more. "Emily, I know you don't want this, but even if I have to beg you, please," he said. "Our parents are watching." His parents, although heartbroken for their son, knew he was the one at fault, so they remained silent. My own parents were so furious they couldn't speak. Logan continued kneeling, even forcing a smile through his red, embarrassed nose. I casually lifted the teacup to my lips. "Emily," he raised his voice. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw his clenched fists trembling. Before I could say anything, he finally relaxed his fists and let out a long sigh. That day I fainted. Everything went blurry. My heart stopped. It was Hannah who gave me CPR and saved me. I owe her my life, and I have nothing else to repay her with except myself. I cut off his tearful explanation before he could finish. Just as I was about to speak, a baby's cry rang out from outside. Despite the guards trying to stop her, Hannah stormed into my home and dropped to her knees at my feet with a loud thud. Wiping her tears, Hannah sobbed. "I'm sorry, Emily. It's all my fault. I ruined your engagement. If someone has to be blamed, blame me. Don't take it out on Logan." "Hannah, get up. Don't do this," I said. But Logan, eyes full of pity, suddenly turned on me in anger. "Emily, I've given you enough dignity. Don't push your luck." "It's my fault, Logan," Hannah cried. "Please don't fight with Emily because of me." "Look how thoughtful Hannah is," Logan snapped. "Now look at you." He was losing control, his words more and more outrageous. Even our parents couldn't stop him. "No woman who doesn't understand right from wrong or how to be a proper partner will ever be welcomed into the Logan family," he shouted. "Logan, shut your mouth." Mrs. Logan barked in fury. "I'm not wrong," he insisted. Then he stepped forward, trying to help Hannah up, but when he saw fear flash across her face, something in him cracked. His eyes reddened, and he yanked her up violently. A good woman brings prosperity for 3 generations. A woman like her, who lacks all sense and dignity, if she married into our family, it would only be a matter of time before the Logan name crumbled. We've worked hard to reach our current status. Are we supposed to throw it all away for someone like her? Shut up. Shut your mouth. Mr. Logan slapped him hard across the face. My parents were livid. My father's eyes were about to burst with rage. The marriage wasn't even finalized, yet Logan had the audacity to talk as if our family would bring ruin to his. He was already blaming us before anything had even happened. My father sneered coldly. If this is how he talks now, what happens after the wedding? If something goes wrong in their family, would he accuse Emily of cursing 3 generations of Logans? Maybe she'd become some modern-day scapegoat, blamed for centuries like a damned concubine from history. We absolutely cannot go through with this marriage. Let's calm down, said Mr. Logan, trying to ease the tension. But I cut in sharply. Right, let Miss Lynn carry that burden instead. What I said wasn't just a hollow jab. In my previous life, I had watched Hannah flaunt herself before me. Oh, Emily, you're such a fool. When a man no longer loves you, what's the point of keeping his body? The smart thing is to milk more money out of him. You don't love him. Of course I do. I love all rich men equally. You're shameless. You only love his money. I am shameless, but that's still better than being pitiful. How much did my husband give you? Not much. Just a few million. Suddenly, pain surged through my abdomen. I had nearly miscarried that day. I had weakly told Logan about it in the hospital, but instead of comforting me, he lashed out. Emily, do you think everyone's like you? So greedy and shameless? Ruining someone else's relationship just for money? He turned and walked away without a second thought. I let out a bitter laugh. Greedy? Shameless? What a joke. Logan and I were equals in status. We both came from families worth millions. If I hadn't married him, if I hadn't doomed him to childlessness, how could I have ended up penniless, scraping to please him? Now I finally understood. Only someone like Hannah was worthy of him. One greedy, the other heartless. A perfect match made in hell. I let out a contemptuous laugh and looked him straight in the eyes. You don't have to do this, Logan. I never liked you. Our engagement is over. What? Logan's face froze in disbelief. Emily, there's no need to say things in anger just to provoke me. I admit what I said earlier was harsh. His cousin muttered under his breath. Some people are just pathetic. Want you to let go but still want your affection. I stood up and stared coldly at Logan. Logan, I've seen you as a brother since we were kids. I got used to the comfort of your care. But I forgot to remind you, a brother can only ever be a brother. And now, you're not even worthy of that. You're lying. We talked about this before, he started. Logan, please don't get angry, Hannah cut in just in time, pulling him back to his senses. His eyes paused for a moment, lips parted but unable to close. Within a day of breaking off our engagement, Logan's decision had already made headline news. People were talking everywhere. Some said that even a 20-year childhood friendship couldn't compare to an outsider's influence. Others claimed that saving someone's life trumped any long-standing bond. But most just mocked me. I didn't care. According to the timeline for my previous life, there should be a class reunion coming up soon. Sure enough, the class beauty called me. Emily, we're organizing a class get-together tomorrow. Are you coming? She suddenly burst into laughter. Oh right, I almost forgot. Logan just broke off the engagement. You probably don't have the money to show up, huh? No worries. I'll cover for you. Wouldn't want you to lose face in front of everyone. I remembered her well. She was the most attractive girl in our college class. Back then, she knew Logan and I were engaged, but still tried to get between us, hoping he'd leave me for her. After failing to win him over, she held a grudge against me. Now that she had a perfect opportunity to humiliate me, I knew she wouldn't pass it up. I'll be there, I said. There was a moment of stunned silence on the other end. What? You're really coming? Of course I am. A faint smile played on my lips. There was no way I'd miss this reunion. The event was scheduled for the afternoon. I arrived at the restaurant as planned. Even from outside, I could hear her overly excited voice ringing through the entrance. I told you, Emily was never good enough for Logan. Serves her right to be dumped. Honestly, Logan gave up years of love for the woman who saved his life. That's what I call honor. A A man who knows how to repay kindness. A toast to Logan. Hearing her shrill voice made me smirk coldly. Of course, Logan was being praised. He'd broken a promise and betrayed years of affection, yet was being celebrated as noble. And me? I was the joke. You people are shameless, came a voice, sharp and familiar. It was Sean. I stepped through the doors, calm and graceful. Sorry I'm late. I hope I didn't keep anyone waiting. Wearing a custom gown that shimmered under the lights, my complexion looked radiant. Not at all like a woman freshly abandoned by the man she loved. Everyone looked stunned. A few guys couldn't take their eyes off me. I caught a glimpse of Hannah clinging to Logan's arm, and I glanced across the room at the others. The man who had just raised his glass to toast Logan quietly set it down and avoided my gaze. Emily, Sean called, his face lighting up with joy. I gave him a small nod. Logan, clearly irritated, stood and pulled Hannah closer into his arms. Emily, our engagement is over. Don't even think about going after Hannah. I let out a sarcastic laugh. Relax, Mr. Logan. I'm straight. Logan stiffened visibly at the use of Mr. Logan, and Sean let out a quiet chuckle. The atmosphere instantly turned awkward. I calmly made my way to the empty seat between Logan and Sean. I could tell the class beauty had deliberately left that seat open just to see me squirm. Without hesitation, I sat down. Almost immediately, I heard a soft whimper nearby. I'm sorry, it's all my fault again. I made Logan and Emily argue. I shouldn't have come. I'll leave. Hannah sobbed and turned to go. But Logan grabbed her wrist. Hannah, don't leave. This isn't your fault. If anyone needs to leave, it should be someone else. His eyes pointedly turned toward me. I ignored him and focused on my conversation with Sean. You've changed a lot in 6 months. I remember you used to be pretty shy. Blushing, Sean scratched his head. Well, I guess I've improved a little. But I remembered it all too well. That innocent face was the last thing I saw before he died in the ER in my previous life. I had cradled his body, my voice trembling. Sean, don't fall asleep. Just hold on a little longer. I'm sorry, Emily, he whispered. I couldn't save you. I couldn't even save myself. But Emily, I liked you. His hand fell limp, and the heart monitor let out a long, shrill beep. The line on the screen went flat. As I looked at his face, it overlapped perfectly with the one I had seen in my past life. My vision blurred slightly, but in this life I would never let him follow the same tragic path again. Emily. Logan's sudden roar was so loud it hurt my eardrums. The tears welling up in my eyes instantly dried. What now, Mr. Logan? I said calmly. Today is a class reunion. I'm not here to argue with you. Don't make things difficult for others either. I hope you know your place and mind your behavior. The class beauty smiled mockingly. Yeah, some people should have learned some self-awareness after getting dumped. Someone chimed in, laughing. Dumped? Nah, it's just survival of the fittest. A wave of laughter followed. I stopped Sean, who was about to explode in anger, and let my gaze sweep over those disgusting, hypocritical faces. In my past life, Logan didn't manage to call off the engagement, and these same people had flattered and fawned over me. Now they wore the same faces but showed a completely different attitude. Though Logan and I were equals in family background, they knew that siding with me meant going against Logan. He was the Logan family heir, while I, as a woman, would eventually marry and leave. Even my parents and I fell into that same trap back then, handing over our entire family business to my future husband, thinking what belonged to him would naturally belong to me too. But that was exactly how my tragedy began. He used my resources while secretly keeping Hannah. He gave me a measly $3,000 a month for living expenses, while spending millions on his mistress. Resting my chin on one hand, I spoke with a flat tone. So tell me, Mr. Logan, who's really making things difficult for whom here? The room fell so silent you could hear a pin drop. I was just warning you. I didn't want you to cause trouble for Hannah. Trouble? I scoffed. He was the one jumping to conclusions first. If I don't respond, it's like accepting the scolding and letting everyone think I'm weak. How could that be? He said awkwardly. Why would you make things hard for the woman who saved my life? Oh, speaking of lifesavers, I just remembered a story. A cold laugh escaped my lips. There once was a poor scholar who saved a fox spirit. To repay him, the fox turned into a beautiful woman and offered herself in marriage. Everyone stared at me, confused. Logan immediately realized where I was going. His face grew darker by the second. Don't you think Mr. Logan here looks just like that grateful little fox spirit who came back to repay a favor? Sean burst into laughter. Some of the others stifled their own chuckles as Logan's face turned stone cold. Emily. Logan clenched his fists. You're saying all this to humiliate me, just to get me to distance myself from Hannah, just like those old stories. You still refuse to give up. I never said that, I replied lightly. Funny how you assume which fox spirit I'm talking about. There are millions of foxtails. How do you know which one I meant? Everyone praised Logan for being grateful and honorable. I was simply using a fable to compliment his noble character. What's wrong with that? He began, but I cut him off. Well, it's getting late, I should be going. I stood and met Sean's gaze, which was filled with reluctance. I handed him a business card. I remember you were great at science. I happen to have a project I'd like to collaborate with you on. Annual salary, $500,000. You'll also share in any research profits. If you're interested, call me. Sean took the card in a daze. A moment later, excitement lit up his eyes. I ignored the jealous stares around me and walked out. In my past life, after marrying Logan, my parents handed over the entire Liu family's business to him. I thought Logan was giving it his all, so I even introduced all my connections to him. Sean had been one of them. He had developed a powerful anti-aging skincare formula, which helped the Logan family skyrocket into one of the nation's wealthiest. People praised me as his perfect wife, his secret to success. But I knew I was no fragile housewife. I had power, connections, and ability. I helped him simply because I loved him. The sad part? Today, Logan had torn me down just to justify breaking off the engagement, saying I'd ruin his family. It was laughable. Now I understood love means nothing. Rather than giving everything to love someone else, it's better to invest those resources in loving myself. That very evening, Sean called me. He was more than willing to collaborate. I brought Sean to meet Dr. Lee. Our family had maintained a long-standing collaboration with him, and we had provided considerable financial support for his research. In my previous life, it was only because of my personal influence that he had agreed to work with the Logan Group. Miss Emily, you're here, Dr. Lee greeted warmly. Dr. Lee, this is my good friend Sean. Don't let his good looks fool you. He's a total science whiz. Oh, really? Dr. Lee smiled with interest. Sean's ears turned red without him even noticing. Hello, Dr. Lee, he said shyly. I'd like him to join your research team. Would you be open to that? Miss Emily, you're being too formal. Most of my research funding comes from the Liu family. How could I possibly say no? You didn't even need to make the trip. Just a call would have been enough. Sean looked stunned by how smoothly everything went. He stared at me, dazed. I can really do this? Believe in yourself. You absolutely can. His eyes lit up like stars. I'll give it my all. I had heard those very same words in my past life, but back then, his eyes were filled with sadness. Are you okay? He had asked me. At the time, the Logan Group had suffered several investment failures and was on the brink of bankruptcy. Logan was constantly on edge, and he often took it out on me. He once saw the bruises on my wrist and grew furious. Emily, leave him. Someone out there will love you more, will treat you better. I had shaken my head. Sean, don't ever say that again. How long are you going to keep lying to yourself? He asked. Don't be afraid. I'll help you. I'm pregnant, I interrupted. He froze. I could see the tears gathering in his eyes. It took him a long moment before he finally said, Tell me what I can do to help. I have a research team, I replied. That night, Logan called me. The moment I answered, I was met with a furious roar. Emily, what the hell are you trying to do? Mr. Logan had been saying strange things lately, things I understood less and less. Don't play dumb with me, he shouted. You humiliated me in public today, and now you're hooking up with Sean? What is your goal here? Do I need to get your permission for what I do, Mr. Logan? Emily, he screamed. I could hear Mr. and Mrs. Logan in the background trying to calm him down. Anyone with eyes can see Sean likes you. Are you seriously unaware? So what if he does? So what? Do you even know what shame is? I cut him off sharply. We've already broken off our engagement. Who I talk to or spend time with is none of your business. What does that have to do with shame? Or are you trying to say that you're the kind of man who wants to eat from one bowl while eyeing the pot? Don't flatter yourself, he snapped. The only one I love is Hannah. Hearing that, I remembered the words he once drunkenly slurred at a bar in my previous life, words that had chilled me to the bone. You don't like Emily, so why are you marrying her? Who said I wanted to marry her? She's the one who clung to me like a damn leech. I couldn't shake her off. You still love Hannah, don't you? Of course I do. She's the only one I've ever loved. I stopped liking Emily a long time ago. She's not as understanding, not as gentle, not as considerate as Hannah. If it weren't for her family's money, do you think I'd even be marrying her? My heart had hit rock bottom back then, but I still clung to the foolish hope that he'd come around with time. Now I let out a cold laugh. So what's this call for? There was silence on the other end. I just called to warn you. Stop trying to get my attention. I'm not going to marry you. Well, thank you, Mr. Logan, for not marrying me. I hung up immediately. Looking out at the moonlight, I felt a pang of hunger and decided to go out for food. The city at night was always bathed in neon, blaring music and flashy signs everywhere, all competing to lure customers. But even that noise couldn't drown out the screech of sirens in the distance. I looked up. A luxury car came to a smooth stop about 50 meters ahead. Inside, a man and a woman were snuggled close, whispering sweet nothings to each other. My pupils constricted. It was Hannah. And the man in the luxury car with her wasn't Logan. I was stunned. Was she really clinging to Logan on one hand, while cozying up to another rich man on the side? Hannah stepped out of the car and watched the luxury vehicle drive away, then turned and walked into a bar. I quietly followed her in. By the time I saw her again, she already had one guy under each arm. Come on, drink, she laughed, raising a glass and pouring red wine directly into one guy's mouth. The wine overflowed from the corners of his lips, soaking the collar of his crisp white shirt. I swallowed hard. Live while you're winning, she said smugly. Pretty boy, tonight you're mine. But another young man nearby wasn't having it. Come on, babe, you haven't picked me in days. Relax, she purred. There's enough of me to go around. I couldn't believe it. Hannah was secretly using sugar daddy money to keep young lovers. And yet, watching her like this, I actually laughed. She was laughing too, until our eyes suddenly met. Her smugness vanished instantly, replaced by the guilty look of someone caught in the act. What are you doing here? She demanded, marching over with clenched fists. I should be asking you that, I said coolly. I'm warning you. Don't you dare tell Logan about this. Her voice dropped to a hiss. The bar owner and I are close. He won't give you a shred of evidence. In the end, it'll just look like you're slandering me. Logan will only hate you more. What you do has nothing to do with me, I replied. Honestly, I admire your time management skills. I smiled calmly and turned to leave, her baffled expression trailing behind me. The next morning, my phone rang. Emily, said Mrs. Logan, could you come over to the house? There's something I'd like to talk to you about. In my previous life, Mrs. Logan had treated me relatively well. She wasn't exactly warm, but at least we got along, mainly because she was an old friend of my parents'. Even though things had turned sour between our families over the engagement, we'd all maintained basic civility. When I arrived at the Logan home, only Mrs. Logan was there. She greeted me with a bright smile and led me to the dining table. These are all your favorites. Come on, try some. I took a bite and nodded. The flavors were exactly as I remembered. Thank you, I said. I remember you loved this dish as a kid, she said. You'd always beg me to make it. Yeah, I said with a soft smile. That was a long time ago. It was, she agreed. Some things are best left in the past. I set down my chopsticks. Why don't we just get to the point? Mrs. Logan didn't bother with pleasantries. All right, then I'll speak plainly. Logan did cross the line at the class reunion, and his father and I have already scolded him for it. But I don't think you should keep holding on to it. Harmony between our families and our reputations is more important than one argument. Holding on to it? I raised an eyebrow. I also heard what you said to him at the reunion. Logan told me everything. Emily, you're a young woman from a respectable family. How could you say such inappropriate things in public? You humiliated him. I've already spoken to Logan about this. He's generous. He doesn't want to make a fuss. But as his elder, I have to say something. Your behavior really embarrassed both of our families. I let out a cold laugh. So this was what she really came to say. Look, she continued. Even if Logan was in the wrong, as a woman, you should be understanding of how men think. That's the only way you'll be a good daughter-in-law someday. You need to know how to serve your husband and his parents. Stop, I cut in, my voice turning icy. Say one more word, and I might say something truly unpleasant. I doubt either of our families would appreciate that. Mrs. Logan's expression froze. The polite smile vanished from her face. I'm saying this for your own good. With such a stubborn attitude, it's no wonder Logan didn't choose you. Tell me, what wealthy family would want a daughter-in-law like you? I hadn't intended to say anything more, but since we were being honest now, I saw no need to hold back. Dignity is a woman's most valuable quality, I said slowly, and I've kept mine. Now I understood. Hannah must have gone home and whispered her version of the story into Mrs. Logan's ear. I laughed bitterly, watching Mrs. Bishop. Logan's face turn more and more sour. Funny, I added, you talk so much about dignity, but it sounds like you're used to putting yourself in such a lowly position, just waiting to see if others choose to keep you. Or maybe, deep down, you've always seen yourself as something to be chosen. What did you just say? She snapped. A moment ago I was still willing to spare you some dignity, but it seems now, you don't want it. So I'll speak plainly. I, Emily Lou, have family, talent, and looks. So why should Logan, who comes from the same background as me, be the one doing all the choosing, while I have to stand there and be chosen? You're the one who stripped yourself of the most basic human right, the right to choose. You willingly became a slave. But that doesn't mean all women are like you, happy to grovel, to be picked out like cattle, to be trained and controlled. Mrs. Logan gasped, her chest rising and falling as she struggled to breathe. My gaze remained cold. As for Logan, I've already disqualified him. He doesn't meet my standards anymore. You're just bitter because you can't have him, she snapped. About the reunion, I said coolly. Maybe you should look into who first started shouting that I was making things hard for Hannah. Who insulted me for no reason. Who stood by and let others publicly shame me. Mrs. Logan sneered. I don't care who was right or wrong. You've already ripped the mask off. From now on, there's no more relationship between the Lou and Logan families. We're done. Good. That's exactly what I wanted. She huffed. I'll have you know, the Logan family just invested in a hot stock. Soon our value will skyrocket. Your Lou family won't even be worthy to carry our shoes when the time comes. I smirked to myself, a thought quietly forming in the back of my mind. Mrs. Logan rolled her eyes at me with visible contempt. And don't even think about luring Logan back. Hannah is already pregnant. I suggest you stay away from him unless you want to be humiliated. Hannah is pregnant? The curve at the corner of my mouth only deepened. I actually felt a little sorry for her. You called me here today? That was Logan and Mr. Logan's idea, wasn't it? What are you trying to say? She asked warily. I chuckled. Funny, isn't it? They knew this would make them look bad, so they sent you to play the villain. You? I turned and walked away without another word. Later, I overheard the housekeeper chatting. Apparently, not long after I left, Mrs. Logan called her husband. That night, a massive argument broke out in the Logan household. Emily, why did you ask to meet me in secret? Hannah arrived at the cafe, swinging a luxury handbag. That bag wasn't cheap. Logan really was generous. He didn't even hesitate. But the more I looked at the bag, the more amused I felt. Noticing my gaze, Hannah lifted her chin proudly. Logan bought this for me. $3 million. He must really care about you, I said lightly. Of course. I'm already pregnant with his baby. The Logan family said that once the pregnancy stabilizes in 3 months, Logan will marry me. You'll come to our wedding, right? She leaned in with fake sweetness. Don't feel too bad. I mean, yes, we're getting married and having a baby, but the child you're carrying isn't even Logan's, right? As soon as she said that, the triumphant light in her eyes faded. Her pupils shrank sharply. What are you talking about? She stammered. Of course it's Logan's. You're just jealous. I sighed with mock pity. You should get a paternity test soon. Otherwise, you and the baby might end up paying off someone else's debt. What do you mean? You really don't know what the Logan family invested in. Of course I do, she snapped. Well, the stock they picked is garbage. It's going to tank completely within a month. After all, I had memories from my previous life. I knew exactly which stocks would soar and which would crash in the coming months. Yeah, right, she scoffed. What, are you some kind of psychic now? You're just bitter because Logan doesn't want you. You're trying to drag him down out of spite. Just then, my phone rang. I glanced at the caller and casually walked toward the restroom. Buy all the stocks I told you about, I said aloud on purpose, knowing she was still listening. Go all in. Then I disappeared around the corner. Hannah's hesitation vanished as her expression grew more confident. You must be trying to talk Logan out of investing, huh? Don't worry, I'll make sure to convince him myself. She smiled and walked away. I, on the other hand, smiled too, but for a different reason. There was no doubt in my mind that Hannah wanted to be Mrs. Logan and crush me completely beneath her feet. She would absolutely pass on the stock tips to Logan. And since I had just cut ties with the Logan family, they would naturally question my intentions, suspecting I was trying to sabotage them. Add to that Logan's stupidity. He was foolish enough in our past life to let Hannah swindle millions out of him. The more I warned them not to buy a stock, the more likely they were to go all in. Just as I predicted, once the Logans noticed I was quietly purchasing certain stocks, they began buying them up in bulk too. Within the month, I cashed out right on time with a hefty return. They, however, got overconfident and reinvested most of their assets. Then the stocks tanked. And they, unwilling to admit defeat, kept doubling down, buying more to average out their losses. Hannah, clearly panicked, tried calling me multiple times. I didn't pick up. Today, I received some great news. Sean had successfully developed a new anti-aging skincare technology, months ahead of schedule. Sean, that's incredible, I beamed. He sat beside me, lowering his head slightly, voice warm and modest. Thank you, Miss Lou, for giving me this opportunity. If it weren't for you, I never would have had the chance to be part of this project. God, he was like an adorable, humble puppy. I wanted to hug him right then and there. My eyes practically sparkled, but I quickly composed myself. Without you, the Lou family wouldn't have this valuable technology. How about we split the profits 50-50 going forward? He suddenly looked up, and when our eyes met, his face flushed red. I only want 30. You take 70, he stammered, tugging nervously at the hem of his shirt. My mind replayed those exact words. I only want 30. You take 70. He'd said the same thing in my past life, but back then, the person reaping the reward wasn't me. It was Logan. Sean had poured his heart and soul into developing that technology for me and the Logan family. But since he never signed a contract, Logan used that as an excuse to steal the results, kicked Sean out without paying him a dime, and claimed the work as his own, saying Sean was just someone I'd brought in informally. That betrayal led to one of our biggest fights. Don't think I don't know Sean has feelings for you. Logan had snapped. He only came around so he could see you more often. Logan, what are you even talking about? If I had anything going on with him, would I have married you? How would I know what you two did in secret? He shot back. And what about you and Hannah? Don't think I don't know she's carrying your baby. So what if she is? He sneered. I'll tell you now, your child will never inherit a cent of the Logan fortune. Only Hannah's baby is worthy. I had been devastated. That night, I left the house and wandered aimlessly through the park. That's when I found Sean collapsed in the grass, covered in blood. He told me it was Logan who had sent people to beat him nearly to death, trying to silence him. So that's what power looked like in a storm. It let people commit crimes in broad daylight. My heart had shattered. I rushed Sean to the ER, held him in my arms, and watched him die. I sobbed uncontrollably. The grief triggered an early labor and massive blood loss. I heard Logan yelling outside the delivery room, but I died filled with hatred. Emily, why are you crying? Sean's concerned voice jolted me back to the present. Sorry, I stammered. I misspoke. I meant, Miss Lou, it's nothing. He looked up, surprise and confusion written all over his gentle face. Slowly, his eyes welled with tears, and his body began to tremble. Are you ready? I asked. Ready for what? He asked hesitantly. I smiled and took hold of his sleeve. I'm taking you to see something interesting. After all, victims from a past life deserve to see their abuser's downfall with their own eyes. It was the least I could do to avenge him. Guests bustled about the wedding venue, but thanks to the Logan's massive investment losses, The wedding was nowhere near as extravagant as I'd imagined. Besides, the Logan family was all about power and status. How much could they really value someone like Hannah, who had no power and no background? Logan's face showed signs of exhaustion, yet he still put on a polite front for the guests. His eyes flicked over to me. For a brief moment, there was a flicker of light in them. Then it faded just as quickly. Slowly, he made his way toward me. Sean stepped in front of me protectively, standing between us with alert eyes locked on Logan's. I looked at Sean's angry face and felt a twinge of emotion. This shy, soft-spoken boy always managed to summon the courage to protect me when it mattered. His gaze was fierce. "Emily, you came," Logan said, his voice weary. I noticed a few strands of gray hair mixed in with his dark ones. "Mr. Logan," I replied coolly, "should we really be speaking so familiarly?" "Sorry," he murmured, lowering his eyes. "It was my fault. I wronged you." "Isn't today your wedding day, Mr. Logan? Why are you saying all this now?" He hesitated, unable to speak. Then he looked at me again. I didn't realize what kind of person Hannah really is. "What kind of person?" I asked. She knew about the Logan family's investment losses, and all she does is fight with me, constantly. I stayed calm. Every couple argues. That's normal. "No, it's like money is the only thing she cares about." "You don't have to feel it. It's the truth," I thought coldly. "So," I asked, "are you saying you regret it?" His eyes were full of desperation. "Emily, I was fooled by her innocent act. I didn't know she was like this. Can we start over?" "She's pregnant," I replied flatly. "I don't like secondhand cucumbers." Logan's lips trembled, his eyes full of sorrow. But out of the corner of my eye, I saw Sean's face light up. "Let's go," Sean said suddenly. "The wedding's about to start. We've already given our gift. Don't make us late for dinner." He grabbed my hand and led me away. Once we were seated near the front, he leaned closer to me, head down and cheeks burning red. I'm pure," he mumbled. "I'm not a used cucumber." I widened my eyes in surprise and noticed the tips of his ears turning red. Suddenly, I couldn't help wanting to tease him. Leaning in close to his ear, I whispered, "So, are you recommending yourself for the whole banquet?" Hey. He stuttered, his entire face now red as a tomato. An elderly woman sitting nearby noticed. "Oh dear, is this young man running a fever? I've got medicine in my purse. Want some?" "No thank you," he said quickly, flustered. Meanwhile, Logan straightened his suit and took his place on stage. But his eyes never left me. I, however, had no interest in looking at him. I was too busy teasing the boy beside me. "Welcome, everyone, to the wedding of Mr. Logan and Miss Lynn," the MC announced. "Let's give a warm round of applause as we invite the bride to make her entrance." The lights shifted, and everyone turned to the entrance. As the doors swung open, silence fell over the room, followed by murmurs and scattered confusion. "Where's the bride? Didn't anyone tell her? Maybe she forgot today was her wedding?" Mrs. Logan, visibly panicked, whispered frantically to the staff. "Go find her, now." Logan's face had turned deathly pale. He clenched the edge of his suit until his knuckles were white. A moment later, someone came running in. "Sir, ma'am, Miss Lynn left a note." Mrs. Logan snatched the envelope, tore it open, and after reading just a few lines, promptly fainted. "Mom!" Logan cried out, catching her as she collapsed. A curious guest nearby picked up the letter and read it aloud. "I'm done. You can marry yourself. Signed, broke girl." The room exploded with shocked gasps and chattering. Another woman stood up with a shriek. Is this a paternity report?" "No biological relation confirmed." What does that mean?" Gasps and mutters rippled through the crowd. "So it's not his kid? Mr. Logan's been played. This is the biggest scandal of the year." Logan snatched the paper from her hands, his eyes wide and glassy. Hannah! He screamed, voice cracking as he completely lost it. Mr. Logan collapsed as well. "Call an ambulance, hurry." The room erupted into chaos. People panicked and scattered in every direction. I stood off to the side, watching coldly. What was supposed to be a picture-perfect wedding had turned into a complete farce. When my gaze met Logan's, I could see the pain and guilt buried in his eyes. But so what? His suffering wasn't even 1/10,000th of what I'd endured. From a distance, I watched him pacing outside the emergency room, anxiously waiting. Not an ounce of pity stirred in me. In my previous life, it was under circumstances just like these that he had stood there, cold and heartless. refusing to sign the consent form, watching me bleed out and die. Are my parents okay? I asked someone quietly. They're holding up, I was told. But both of them have weak hearts. They really shouldn't be under any more stress. Thank you, doctor. Thank you so much. I watched the emotional figure bowing and thanking the doctor with a distant expression. Then I sighed. Let's go. I knew the Logan family had gone bankrupt due to their failed investments, but I had no intention of telling Mr. and Mrs. Logan myself. I didn't want to become the kind of person Logan had once been, someone who drove others to ruin, someone who took lives for the sake of revenge. Let this, I thought, be the good karma I sow for my own future. But eventually, Mr. and Mrs. Logan still heard the news. Upon learning of the bankruptcy, they both passed away within days. Logan's hair turned completely white overnight, and he had to be revived several times with emergency medication. From that point on, the Logan family became a joke. Meanwhile, the Liu family, once mocked for being dumped by the Logans, rose to prominence thanks to our breakthrough anti-aging technology. We quickly became a leader in the industry, winning widespread praise. All the glory I once gave to Logan had finally returned to me. As for Hannah, after she disappeared, I never heard anything about her again. I didn't know what had become of her. Emily, Sean said one evening as he sat beside me on a bench, holding my hand. Who do you think leaked that news to Logan's parents? There are plenty of people who resented the Logans, I replied. Now that they've fallen, there's no shortage of people ready to kick them while they're down. I glanced forward with a mocking smile. Logan probably never imagined that the woman who once saved his life, Hannah, would nearly destroy his entire family. Emily, I heard someone call my name. Sean and I both turned around at the same time. An old man, hair fully grayed and face lined with age, slowly walked toward me. Emily? Emily. Logan, don't come near her again, Sean snapped, his voice full of rage, eyes bloodshot. Who do you think you are? What gives you the right to make decisions for her? Sean opened his mouth to say more, but I gently interrupted him. What gives him the right? I repeated, and then I reached out and raised Sean's hand in mine, under his hopeful, trembling gaze. He's my boyfriend. What? No, Logan gasped. Emily, you love me. You can only love me. He covered his face, trembling. Now I have nothing. No money, no home, no parents, no wife, no child. I've lost everything. Watching him on the verge of madness, I quickly pulled Sean away with me. Emily, Sean said quietly. Was what you said earlier true? What did I say? I asked, still walking. Sean suddenly stopped, his eyes were filled with vulnerability. You already forgot? You just said it a moment ago. You can't take it back. I burst out laughing. Oh no, was this boy about to cry? I looked at Sean, his warm eyes, the gentle way he held my hand, the way he never hesitated to stand between me and the people who once broke me. He wasn't powerful, he wasn't flashy, but he was real, honest, loyal, and in a world full of masks and manipulation, that was everything. For the first time in a long time, I felt peace. The past no longer haunted me. Logan's betrayal, Hannah's schemes, the pain of bleeding out alone, they no longer had power over me. I had lived through the fire, died once with regret, and now stood reborn, not as someone who needed saving, but as someone who had saved herself. The Liu family name was no longer a joke, it was a legacy. My legacy. Let's go home, I said softly, turning to Sean. He smiled like he'd been waiting his whole life to hear me say that. We walked away together, hand in hand, leaving behind the ashes of a past that no longer defined us. There were no more tears left for what was lost, only hope for what came next. This time, I wasn't chasing anyone. This time, I was choosing myself. And that made all the difference.